Exactly.
There are times that I may slip up, won't always get it right. Guarantee I'll be on top when it's game, set, life. Get up and show up, don't ever lose your fight. You watching me from the couch, at least I say I tried. A long time ago, someone said this stuck with me. Passion without action will only remain a dream. Keep positive, motivated people on your team, cause other negativity can kill your self-esteem. Believing is powerful, but sadly so is doubt. So you can choose which way you wanna go, which route. The mind that controls the body can beat anybody, and gotta be all in, don't treat your dreams like a hobby. And if you practice on your day off, won't have an off day. Talent alone won't get you there, still got a long way. Gotta take big risks and big steps to strive. Wanna be the winner when it's game, set, live. Whoa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Game Set Life. It's my favorite time of the week. Everybody, Tuesday is now my favorite day because I get to be with my new best friend, Rick Macci. And the more that I get to know Rick Macci, the more I love him and the more impact I find that he's having in the world. Welcome, of course, to our show. How are you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. I love Tuesday afternoons. You have no idea. But, what you just said about impacting, you just put something in my head. I almost got impacted. I was doing an interview about Serena, and a camera kind of almost fell on me, and I almost got impacted. But the moral of the story, they said, can you give us a Serena story? Because we've heard all these stories. And I just said, what about this one? We heard that. We heard that. So when that light fell on me, I was just telling this to my daughter, the light fell on me and I said, I cannot believe I have never told this to anybody on any podcast. So this is fresh out of the oven, because when I did this with the documentary, that's not going to happen for like 8 months. So listen to this. I'm thinking, okay, it's like 5 a.m. and I have a lesson with Serena, and it's pitch dark, and I told Richard I would go to their condo on the golf course. This was right when they got the green leaf. So I drive there, and lo and behold, they don't have any lights. So Richard, just to show you the method to this guy's madness, he goes, Rick, have no fear. Richard's here. He goes in the house. He gets a flashlight. Okay, we're on the tennis court at 5 a.m. Fast forward, the greatest player of all time. He's out there with a flashlight, okay, going like that. I said, I better teach her volleys. I don't think she'd see the ground stroke. It'd have to travel too far. He's doing this flashlight. She's going, Daddy, the light's in my eyes, the light's in my eyes. He goes, listen, when you're playing the U.S. Open, you got both eyes, you're going to be a rough little pit bull. Okay, so here we are at the flashlight, 5 a.m. At the end of the day, a winner finds a way.
At the end of the day, a winner finds the way. And there's always going to be distractions. In the realm of football, I always say, working with a guy from Miami, Mike Tannenbaum, I always said, it's amazing how long I've been involved in football and the game of football. But yet there's two things that, people always make excuses why they don't win. And it's injuries, so-and-so wasn't injured, we would have won, or bad calls. And winners find a way to win. And if you're not prepared as a team for injuries or bad calls, then shame on you. There's no blame, shame, or justification of why you haven't won unless you're preparing for something as obvious. Now, there's things that happen every, once in a blue moon that I can understand may have an impact on your game, but there's certain things within every sport that should be expected. And to that measure, I don't know tennis quite as well. What are some of the things like in football, injuries and bad calls, that you prepare your players for to have the right mindset?
This is the wild card, how you deal with problems. It's an individual sport. It could be really, really, really windy, or it could be really, really hot. It can be really, really cold. And I try to tell everybody, you got to make it your best friend. Nothing against your brother or sister or your cat or dog. It has to be your best friend. You got to flip it. And I remember, I don't know, it was a while back, Federer, they played one night at the U.S. Open. It was 55-mile-an-hour wind. I think a hurricane went through there earlier, and they almost should have canceled the tournament. Hats blowing off, garbage. Federer won 1-1, David, against a guy 20 in the world. The guy comes off. They should have canceled the tournament. It's out of control. They were catching their ball toss every time, kind of like your wife does at the club matches. Okay. Then they interviewed Federer, And he goes, God, I had a blast. This was a ball. Playing in the wind, being able to use different spins. And listen, one guy's going to go down as the greatest ever. Another guy was 20 in the world, which is nothing to sneeze about. So it is what it is. It's all how you deal with everything. But I do this all the time for the kids. And sometimes when they're littler, the parents think you're almost picking on them. But this is the real world. And that's why I like it when I get someone that's already a little bulletproof.
Yeah, and beyond the bulletproof, I've been a witness to and study competitors, and not just on the court, off the court, coaches that are hyper competitive, and of course in the business world, people that are hyper competitive, that they just have a different spirit of excellence. For me, the most competitive athlete that I've ever met was Tiger Woods. And I will tell you my favorite Tiger Woods story before we get to asking you, who you see as the ultimate competitor, someone that you use as an idol to say, hey, look, they may or may not be the greatest athlete of all time, but they're the greatest competitor. My favorite story about Tiger Woods is that we were there when he won his first professional tournament. And when you win a golf tournament, they have a banquet or reception where they bring the sponsors and the wealthy people into the country club dining area to give an official presentation of the trophy that they may have handed on the green. But there's a whole big reception for you. I believe Tiger was 19. He may have been 18. I think he was 19. Far older than your tennis champions, just put it that way. But anyway, he was in line at the bar, a couple people in front of me, and he went up and he ordered, like a young man would order a light beer or a Long Island iced tea. I don't know what he ordered, but the bartender was great. He said, "Excuse me, sir, may I see your identification?" And very serious bartender. And Tiger Woods looks at him in shock, and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm Tiger." And the bartender said, "I don't care if you're the Lion King, brother. You're not getting to drink it unless you have an ID." And I wish back then we had cell phones, because if I had the video of that one thing, talk about being able to leverage and going viral, it was the best thing that I ever witnessed of Tiger Woods. But he is an ultimate competitor as well. But Michael Jordan just had another level of competition when things got rough or things got different or things got tight. I'd put the ball in Michael Jordan's hands in any sport to want to win. How about you? Who had that desire better than anyone to win?
Well, obviously, I've had a lot. And obviously, you have to have the talent, because a lot of people are competitive like that. And they do max out their ability, whether it's high school, college, pro. It's just you got to have other attributes. But obviously, it's Serena. I mean,
Yeah.
even early on, she was a pit bull.
Whoop.
She probably feels in a private conversation out of time. She never lost. She just ran out of time. The way she frames it in her own mind. And even when she was a little kid, she would call the ball out before it even landed. Just like, it's going out. She would call it out before it even landed. You know what I'm saying? And she'd stare at you. She just had all these inner qualities when the bell rung. And obviously those just got more and more maturated as she grew up, but that's what she would do. She was just different in that respect. They all are. Roddick was like that, just a feisty mosquito. He'd always come back for more. But Serena was a whole different animal. She just refused. I refused to lose. And if I lost, I kind of ran out of time.
I love that. And how did that impact your relationship? I know I'm hyper competitive with my siblings and others, and I've matured in a different way to utilize that desire to be my best, not the best. And it's taken me years to change over with that mindset of being my best. But my siblings will tell you, especially in my teenage years, I probably wasn't the best brother in the world because I was so competitive, no matter what it was. How did that impact Serena's relationship with Venus?
First off, great question. Someone asked me that yesterday, and they want me to come up with something like, crazy. Listen, at 9 years old, They were holding hands and skipping. And at 41, they're still holding hands and skipping. You know what
That's
I'm saying? Two peas in a pod, very unique relationship. That's Richard and Orsine, life lessons. Many things could have blown that thing up: money, fame, fortune, boyfriends. One's younger, does better, more grand slams. It never affected at all. I think the way that family was put together, you win, we all win. Now, that's easier said than done, because we're all kind of selfish. We want it for ourselves. Everybody has an ego. You get other people in your life, they can get into your head. Not at all with these two. And you got to really tip your hat to Venus, for that type of class. And, they're soulmates. It's a very unique relationship. It has to be, because that could have went sideways real quick.
Yeah, I want Venus to come on over. My brother's a famous rabbi, went to Harvard, and I think he could take some lessons from Venus about being forgiving for my behavior when I was young. I still think he may have a chip on his shoulder from the abusive, competitive nature of me being his brother. So maybe I'll have to talk to them about how I can redeem myself in my younger brother, who's 14 months younger than I's eyes. But even though I was very competitive, very rarely was I a poor sportsman. I'm sure I had my moments of blame, shame, and justification on the field. But I really respected the game and those that were in charge of the game, the coaches, the referees, the umpires that I had to deal with. How do you confront with younger kids poor sportsmanship?
Yeah, first off, another great question. At the end of the day, I tell them, I frame it up differently. I don't want them to cheat the game. This is a game, it's supposed to be fun. If you're the ultimate competitor, okay, you got to have, you don't want to fear your opponent, but you should have respect, and you should respect the game. And these are the life lessons that I try to tell all the kids. It's hard when you get caught up in rankings and seeding and UTR, and you get into all this, you lose sight of your feet should be on the ground. And it's the sun's coming up tomorrow, and you're trying to build more things than just the tennis player. But no, I talk to the kids a lot about that. If they can focus on anybody, anytime, anywhere, be the best competitor you can be, it's over. Shake hands, be a great sport. Listen, you'll feel better about yourself. And I'm telling you, Dave, you'll improve a lot quicker, because you're not going to be fighting yourself for days and days. You got to have the ability to plug in, but you better have that ability to unplug and go on to the next one, because the most important thing in life is next.
It certainly is. Now and next are two attributes that I look at in the course of prioritization in my life as a confirmation. When I know what I'm doing now and I know what I'm doing next, I know that I've done the work to prioritize my day in a trajectory of my future where I want to be. And that's inclusive of doing stuff with you. I know it's a confirmation that I'm doing the right things when what I'm doing now is with you and what I'm doing next is going to be with you. I know that I'll continue the correct behavior to aggregate, accelerate, and compound in that trajectory. Another aspect, as Kent's going to come on in the next minute, he's been in and out, is the parent side of things. I will tell you, beyond the obvious of parents, and we see that a little bit in the film, you discuss it all the time, how important it was with your best players that the parents had a critical role in that. One of the most surprising things that I found as a parent, and the amount of pressure I feel when my child is playing. And I've been around these games a long time, and I will tell you that thank goodness I don't speak of the thoughts that I have while I'm watching, especially my youngest play football, because he's very competitive, he's very good, and he has potential in a sport that I love. And so, maybe I slip 0.1% of the times and I say something and then I look around to see, I hope nobody heard, me as a parent say that. But, I was curious because you're a parent. Do you have those same similar thoughts that should never be spoken of as a parent, that, you're in your own head going, who knows what we're saying? I won't condemn myself, but do you have those experiences as a parent with your children?
Absolutely. You know, I think we're all competitive. You want what's best for your child. If you didn't feel that way, I think you're almost doing a disservice to the kid, because you got to teach them maybe to be better competitors. You got to have those feelings of passion. You know, you're all in. Those are normal reactions as a competitor in business or sports. So if you were just like in a coma on the sideline and you didn't feel anything, where's that going to get you? You know, so I think it's a normal reaction, but how you respond and communicate to your child and how you handle winning and losing, because there's always going to be tomorrow. So I think there's an art to this. I think the parents do get better as they go along, but some of them get worse because the kid starts doing better, you know, and they're looking at the wrong movie. So yeah, this is a very common feeling, but at the end of the day, you want to have some pride and some class. And you remember, you're a role model to your kids, and they see everything you do, even though they might not say anything.
Yeah, they don't listen to you, but they sure watch you. And speaking of friends here, as we do these shows, every time I'm thinking, how can we, one up the last week? And this is one of my favorite people on earth, and he's brought great clarity to me for some of the bigger mistakes in my life, in my investment days in real estate, losing so much money in real estate, and now following his lead, been able to recoup so much of it without the emotional interference that I had created for myself. This man has a real CEO of real estate worldwide, and of course the boardroom mastermind. So many people, they brag about knowing this person, and when they find out that I'm friends with him, it's like being friends with Michael Jordan or Serena Williams. They're like, oh my gosh, can you get me in to talk to Kent Clothier? Anyway, let's welcome him in. Kent Clothier, welcome to Game Set Life.
Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here, man.
We glad to have you. We didn't even know that tagline behind you. We were talking about now and next, and look at that. The time is now right behind you.
Tattooed on my arm as well, man. Always with me.
Isn't that great? Anyway, we got a special treat for you. Rick Macy may be the best introducer in the world. So Tom Bilyeu's pretty good at it, but my boy Rick wants to introduce you into the show.
Well, first off, Kent, it's an honor. And there's always like common threads. We've had athletes on here, entertainers, artists, you know. You're the real estate guy. I would say you're the real guy, but I'm not going to say that, even though I just said it. But the first common thread when it comes to real estate, your advice is a game changer. David has been to every state, gives real advice on the game of life. On the court, I showed the Williams sisters how to cover more real estate and change the game. So that's number one. Number two, you're the king when it comes to flipping houses. Serena was the queen at flipping the U.S. Open with her serve, okay? And David is the king at his house. He has a better serve at flipping burgers. So we got a lot of going on here. Number three, you reverse engineered the whole real estate process. I reverse engineer ground strokes to help my students understand the process. And David engineers human to get them out of reverse to understand the process. So number four, leader in the clubhouse, your mindset, I like that thing behind you. Your mindset is right now. You never waste time. Tennis is a game of time from the waist to the feet. And you can always count on Akron's finest. He always finds the time, even if he's wasted. So now that we got that out of the way, welcome to Game Set Life. It's an honor. I read your bio. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thank you very much, Rick. That was amazing.
All right. Guys definitely serve, literally. No burgers. It's your serve.
I love it. Thank you. And I'll take the serve. I'm going to start with the tagline, because out of everything that I study, and I do study because I believe that's where the consequences, coincidences, and karma exists, and paying attention and giving intention to what I want, hopefully for the betterment of all. But the time is now is your tagline. How much of your time do you spend on understanding how to utilize time in whatever processes or systems or trajectories that you're pursuing?
I mean, I tell you, it's at the forefront of just about everything that I do, both personally and professionally. I have never, I'll put it this way, and this could be my own jaded experience, but I have yet to meet anybody that is as dialed in on time as I am. Meaning, and you, I mean,
Oh, it's competition's on, baby. Let's make it happen.
I mean, you talk about it the way that I believe about it. I know that Ed talks about it the same way. I mean, I just think that for me personally, it is at the top of the ladder for me. It is the most important thing that I think about. It is at the forefront of just about every conversation or every thought process I have. Typically it's, what is this at the expense of? Is this worth my time? How do I compress time? How do I get a result faster? How do I frame a conversation that I'm having with somebody? I mean, it's even like that, to try to get to the essence of how to bring value to somebody as quickly as possible versus, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but I can tell you it is very, very, very prevalent for you, all the way from the calendar to literally every conversation I'm trying to have. How do I get there to the outcome where I can help somebody or get the, extract the value that I'm looking for as fast as humanly possible? Because I if I'm being very honest with you guys, I mean, I live, I don't live in fear of failure, but I certainly live in fear of time. I mean, I imagine every day, what would I be okay if this was the last one? And for me personally, it's that has served to be extremely healthy, both, like I said, personally and professionally.
First off, I love that. There's even more common threads now. I've had so many kids become really good, really fast, young. I don't waste time. I deal in milliseconds, right here, right now, no stone unturned. You're wasting time. It's no good. So I actually love that, but I want to say the truck, but I'm going to back the plane up to 2010. Can you tell everybody watching the story in North Florida? When I read that, that made such an impact and locked you in even more.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking about that, right? But I had been very successful, a little bit of background. I've been very successful by most measures at a very young age in business, and had conflated myself and confused myself in believing that making a lot of money and doing a lot of things and getting a lot of accolades. And I was very, very wrapped up in all of that throughout my 20s. And it made me very successful at a business level, but ultimately didn't make me very successful at a personal level. And so when I effectively had to start over and restart my career, I've losing or effectively being run out of a business that I had built that was doing a couple $2 billion a year. That was extremely humbling for me. And then a few years later, I found myself following very similar patterns, things that I'd already known, that I was falling right back into the same mousetrap. New industry, new business, but now I was still kind of, a workaholic, doing what I needed to do on a mission, however you want to frame it, and wore it as a badge of honor, that I was the guy that wouldn't be outworked, outmaneuvered. I was going to be on top of the mountain. And I had a mentor of mine that I loved dearly. He was my uncle. He had built a very, very successful company. And I watched that when he passed away at the ripe old age of 60, unfortunately, I watched him with tens of millions of dollars in the bank and literally holding my hand when he passed away in the hospital 6 months after retiring, and spending so much time away from his family to get to this, this pinnacle where I finally get to go and retire. He gets there and suddenly cancer takes him, and he's holding my hand. He's hooked up to a respirator and he's erasing on a whiteboard and talking to me. It's the only way he could talk to me. He's like, "Celebrate my life. I just wish I had more time." And that had a really big impact on me, because I realized that, oh my God, this isn't about money, but it still did not have as profound effect as, what happened just a few months later. I happened to be on an airplane, as you mentioned, with my wife and my young daughter at the time. And they had come up to visit me on a business trip, because it was really the only way they could see me for the weekend, because I was traveling and speaking and doing all this stuff. And so we were flying back home, but because we had booked our flights at two different times on two different itineraries, we were actually sitting apart from each other in the plane. I was in 19A and they were in 26E and F. And as we were connecting through Atlanta and departing on Delta and now flying home to West Palm Beach, we were about an hour into the flight, and suddenly the plane started filling with smoke. And, everything I'll describe to you happened in seconds. But as fast as the smoke filled the plane, the alarm started going off. Unfortunately, the flight attendant went into a complete panic on the loudspeaker, so that sent everybody into pure panic mode, and everybody's screaming, everybody's crying. They put the plane into a nosedive, because I didn't know it then. I know it now, that if they believe a plane is on fire, they put it into a nosedive. So you can imagine the chaos and the confusion and the screaming and all the raw emotion that's going on. And then, unfortunately, at that moment, the only scream I could hear was my 5-year-old little daughter screaming for daddy. And she's 7 rows behind me. And I literally can do nothing to get to her. And I mean, masks are dropped, and undoubtedly the worst moment of my life. And when you realize, this is all happening, I'm about to be the statistic right now. And the plane had to get down very quickly. It was on fire. They had to make an emergency landing in Tampa. Clearly, I'm here today, so we all got there safe. But it was a very nerve-wracking, harrowing, unfortunate thing. To this day, I walk around on my phone with a video that I had recorded from the plane, my last words that I believed at the time, my last words to my son, letting him know that I was thinking about him in my last moments. And that had a very, very profound effect on me when you couple it with the losing a big business and holding my mentor's hand as he passed away, and all he wanted was more time, and me being on a plane, and all I wanted was just another day on the planet, and just didn't want to die in that moment, and certainly didn't want to die without being able to hold my little girl. And we were on the ground, and I can for sure say from that moment forward, the clarity that I received was life-changing, nothing short of it. I mean, at that moment, any dream that I had, any thing that mattered to me was quickly crystallized down into: life is not about collecting money. Life is not about collecting moments. Life is about collecting memories and collecting time. And certainly the money and the success provides all the opportunity to control time. But I have to be more dialed in as a husband, as a father, as a business leader, to design my businesses, design what I'm doing to serve me and to serve my purpose. And if I have something in my life I want, I do not need to be putting it off. I don't need to be delaying it. I need to be trying to go for it immediately, get there as fast as I can, because I know for sure that tomorrow is absolutely not promised.
First off, David, real quick, the gold nugget there is, you got it on your phone, you got it on a tattoo, but that was 13 years ago, and it's still with you. A lot of people can have something tragic happen, car accident, almost. They are okay for a while, then they go right back on that merry-go-round. But the difference is you stuck with the plan, okay, and it's changed everything, the way you look at the world. So I think that's the real takeaway. A lot of things happen to people like that, but once they get back to normal, they go back to the other way again. Yep. But you made a difference, and I think that's amazing for everybody to hear. You got to stick with it and feel how blessed and fortunate you are, because tomorrow isn't a guarantee.
Well, I've taken it so far, and I don't mean to, I've taken it so far, and I would encourage anybody to do this, that, the average American male lives to 78 and female lives to 82. And if anybody just goes subtract your current age and go multiply it times 365, go calculate how many days you have left on this planet statistically. And that number sits on my bathroom mirror every morning. And every morning with a dry erase marker, I count it down. And if you want to get real dialed in on time, watch your life tick away and decide what every one of those days wants to look like. And that's that. When you just have so much respect for time, it's, for me personally, it has just been such a great equalizer in the game of life. Like we're just so fortunate to be here, and it would be irresponsible not to make the most of all of it.
I love that.
Yeah, I love the way that you intertwine gratitude with time. I love the way you intertwine simplicity. Knowing is, Rick, one of my favorite quotes: the simple things to do, unfortunately, are simple not to do. And for me, and I actually work with, Rob Deerdeck and a few other guys, utilizing and trying to create a SaaS solution with my student of the calendar philosophy of utilization of now and next. So taking it, understanding the quantitative nature of time, that all matter, subjective and objective matter. And I think through your experience, you've realized this, that time is the only quantifiable dependent variable on all matter,
No doubt.
subjective and objective. And although the countdown can be scary, I fully understand utilizing time as a quantitative variable. One of the other areas that I wanted to talk about is, as much as time, is part and parcel as a dependent variable in your personal and professional life, so are people. And the simple philosophies that the money follows by you teaching. And I'm thinking even within the boardroom mastermind that you give, that is so successful because it helps empower other people to be so successful. There's, everyone I talk to that's part of it, they get a quantitative value out of being in it. And it's a simple people-based philosophy. In fact, I think 3 of your 4 steps to scalability in a business are based off of people. And it's an icon of mine, a logo that has one hand reaching up and one hand reaching down.
Yep.
And for you live your life that way, both as a person, but also empowering others to understand that 4-step process. You have to live your life this way. I was hoping you could share the 4 steps to scalability, because it applies to not just real estate, it applies to all activity that we get paid for. And even in our personal lives, I know as I struggled with, some challenges, people challenges of, being a pleaser and following and listening to what other people want. I summarized my existence, Rick, by the way, right? I was very wealthy when Kent was, and we both lost our money at the same time, but I was just buying shit I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. That was
Guilty as charged, by the way.
That's pretty much my downfall. But
thank God social media wasn't around back then, because man,
Yeah.
I would have been the guy we all make fun of.
Yeah, me too. But just real quickly, if you could go through what you teach in the boardroom and how we can do this with less effort, a few of the steps, if not all of them, to scale our lives.
Yeah. I mean, I'll move through it quickly. I mean, at the end of the day, through my own personal experience, I've kind of distilled it all down. And again, with the purpose of there are a lot of very good or high income earners out there, right? But they are forever trapped on the hamster wheel. And it's one of these things it's real easy to understand whether you own a business or not. And it's, thinking about it in terms of what do you get to do versus what do you have to do. And when you have to do things in the business for the revenue to come, then it's not a business, right? You are the business. And so a lot of people struggle with, how do I actually go from being a hustler to a CEO to an actual business owner? And so with that in mind, I mean, I think that one of the things that's really foreign to people is to actually start with the end in mind, to reverse engineer, what Rick talked about, something I've found to be very, very, very important to me. So you have to start with the purpose, right? That's the first P. You have to literally understand what is the outcome that you are trying to create, not only for you, but for your customers, for everybody involved. What is our mission? And think of it like the GPS. Nobody gets in their car and just drives. If I tell somebody to come to my office, they don't just say, hey, I'm going to randomly drive up and down the streets in La Jolla until I see Kent Clothier's name on the front of an office. It doesn't work like that. Like, we all put a destination in mind and get turn by turn directions. Well, most people have no purpose or destination in their business. They don't understand what success means. And so I would say purpose is number 1 for sure. And then really understanding, the next P is understanding the prospects. Who is it that you're actually serving? What is their pain? What are you actually doing for them, and getting dialed in on that pain? I see a lot of business owners that they try to attract everybody into their business rather than speaking to somebody, right? Like, what do you specialize in? Who is the one person that you can make a difference in their life? And for me, like, this is real estate entrepreneurs. I know for a fact exactly what their pain is, and I know exactly how to solve it. So I'm really dialed in on my messaging and how best to serve them. What is the purpose? I mean, what is the purpose, and who are the prospects? Then, and this is something that a lot of people struggle with, is what is the actual process to move people through your whether it's through your funnel, through your sales process, through your marketing process. How is it that you are moving them through the system, if you will, to create that success for them? And it needs to be defined. And we live in a world today where people struggle and try to figure, how would I document a process or create? I mean, It is easier now than it's ever been, and only getting easier now with a lot of these new AI tools that are coming out. I mean, it's so easy. We walk around with one of the best ways to document processes in our pocket every day, right? Turn on the video. This is how you do this X, Y, or Z. Put it into a YouTube channel, put it into a Facebook group, whatever it is. But this is not but it must be done, because as long as the process is always run to Dave, run to Kent, run to Rick, then that's not a process. You're trapped. It needs to be, this is how we move through this. The next thing is I think where a lot of people struggle is profits. And it's the next one, meaning I'm always amazed at how many business owners have no idea how to read a financial statement, have no idea how to read it. And they write it off. Well, I'm just not good at math. Well, dude, last time I checked, math is the language of business. You better get good at it. If you want to turn it into a business, you better get good at it, right? You need to understand the KPIs, the key performance indicators. You need to understand a balance sheet, a cash flow statement, a P&L, and what to do about it. If you want to be successful, you have to run a profitable business, and what we focus on, what we manage, is what gets improved. If you do not focus on it, and you're not looking at your net worth and looking at your financials every month, if not every week, then you're already behind. You can't expect to improve it. And then the last P is progress. I think that a lot of people have not bought into to being a part of, organizations that we're all a part of, where we get the opportunity to get around our peers, whether it's in masterminds or peer groups or just dinners with friends that we respect. You need to be around people that help you to continue to progress, right? And, a mentor told me a long time ago, there's only one way to coast, and that's downhill. And you've got to keep pedaling. And that's the game of life. Keep pedaling up the hill. And when you combine those things in that kind of order, and you have somebody that is holding you accountable and that you respect and you admire, and they're willing to call you on your nonsense, and they're willing to push you further, that kind of all starts to perpetuate. And any business that we go in and acquire or that we start, I mean, this is the process we take somebody through.
Wow. Amazing, Kent. Well, we always appreciate your time, considering how much you value time, and so do we. You keep pouring into the community, and I will tell you, I look forward to, as you stated, our dinners together. I learn more in a matter of a few hours with the group, the collective consciousness. And in fact, if we can get Rick Macci sometime to join us, I think he would enjoy as well. You're
flipping the burgers. You're flipping the burgers. Right.
That's right, baby. I got a good right arm to flip those burgers. And I use this as my own personal reunion. I use Rick Macci as clickbait. I'm like, hey, come on my show with Rick Macci. Everyone's like, oh my God, I want to meet that guy. This is great. And then I get a little reunion and get to introduce all my best friends to Rick Macci. So thanks for allowing me to be a philanthropist and pimp out my friend Kent Clothier for the betterment of all. Look forward to seeing you soon. I think we'll be gathering at Edwin's house soon, hopefully, I think in March. But anything we can do for you, let us know. Make sure you check out Kent Clothier if you're a real estate guy, especially. But if not, if you're just someone that wants to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential by utilizing time, maximizing your productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, Kent Clothier is definitely your guy. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See you soon, Rick.
Thanks, guys.
See you later. Game, set, life. He had so many great nuggets for us. Held them a little bit longer than I wanted. All right, we're going to finish up. I'd love to get your takeaway. Oh, they got the flags here. Put that down. We already went over the red flags and green flags for coaching. Let's just go with a takeaway, because that guy was dropping nuggets as fast as Serena drops aces and serves. What'd you take away from Kent Clothier?
Well, first off, unbelievable competitor, a lot of intensity, eye on the ball. Right now, you're not getting better, you're getting worse. But I want everybody to understand, I was going to ask him this question. They're looking at him as like a wizard with all this knowledge. And one day he just got on an infomercial about real estate, and the rest is history. He's the leader in the clubhouse, so we can all learn, we can all grow. You got, he learned all this. And look, he learned how to flip things, and it's amazing. But there is so many powerful things there. If people could pick up a couple things and infuse that into their life, makes all the difference in the world.
It sure does. I'm going to give my one takeaway, and it was a simple one at the end. He had so many golden nuggets about time, but I studied time intense, and I'm an intense student of time. So a lot of those takeaways resonated with me, but they weren't the surprising quote or the remarkable, thing for me. But I'm sure for other people who haven't studied it like I have. But I love this takeaway. You can only coast downhill. And I think a lot of people try to coast uphill and they wonder why they're never at the top. And you really bring the best out of people and make sure you identify when they're coasting and give them that little push, nudge, or reminder. Hey, man, you can only coast downhill. Happy to allow you to coast, but not on my coast, whether it's the East Coast or the West Coast. We don't allow you to coast a game set life, because Rick Macci and Dave Meltzer are here to bring the best out of you so that you do your best, that you learn lessons, and most importantly, like Rick and I, have fun in everything that you do. Rick Macci, you are a partner in the best. I look forward to our next ventures here. We're going to take this show to the next level. I know Nick has some big plans. So everyone, thanks for this season of Game Set Life. We'll be back with season 2 coming up next. Thanks so much.
All right, Dave. See you soon.
See you, buddy. Keep the memes coming.
All right, you got it.
Hall of Famer, the incredible Rick Macci. They don't get better than that. If you're around today, I'll be in San Diego keynoting a great San Diego State entrepreneurial event. There's some big names that have been there. So go meet me at 2:15 p.m. for a meetup, or come watch me speak at 4 p.m. Reception after that. I want to thank San Diego State for honoring me with this opportunity to pour into the San Diego State community as well. I grew up a mile from there. Anybody want my book, guides, exercises, and you can't make it in person? I'll sign a copy, send it to you, pay for shipping and the book. All you got to do is email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Remember to be happy, more interested than interesting. And most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you later. Thank you, team.
There are times that I may slip up, won't always get it right. Guarantee I'll be on top when it's game, set, life. Get up and show up, don't ever lose your fight. You watching me from the couch, at least I say I tried. A long time ago, someone said this stuck with me. Passion without action will only remain a dream. Keep positive, motivated people on your team, cause other negativity can kill your self-esteem. Believing is powerful, but sadly so is doubt. So you can choose which way you wanna go, which route. The mind that controls the body can beat anybody, and gotta be all in, don't treat your dreams like a hobby. And if you practice on your day off, won't have an off day. Talent alone won't get you there, still got a long way. Gotta take big risks and big steps to strive. Wanna be the winner when it's game, set, live. Whoa.